Okay, this is just a really quick video I wanted to make about this news that Blink-182 is back together with their original lineup, Tom Delonge, Mark Hoppus and Travis Barker. And this is just huge news for any lifelong Blink-182 fan, such as me, probably you. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about why this news is so big, some of the questions that it raises, and just everything that's going through my head as I continue to process and react to this news. I think it came out overnight. I'm in Australia. I just woke up about 2 hours ago and checked Twitter to see this news, the news that the original trio is back together, or I guess not necessarily the original trio because Scott Raynor was in the band before Travis Barker, but you know what I mean, the famous Blink-182 trio. And that they're releasing a new single called Edging on Friday, and they did this great announcement video that they're returning that featured a lot of classic Blink sexual innuendo, you know, we're coming, hilarious, and then featured Tom, Mark and Travis all together again. This must have been in the works for a very long time, and there's a few questions that I have here. Predominantly, I guess, and I'll get right into it, is there is no way that Mark and Travis would have allowed this to happen unless they knew for sure that Tom wasn't going to bail on the band again. You know, this has happened many times before, well, twice before. The first original Blink breakup in 2003 when Tom left the band. Then they got back together after Travis's plane crash, put out Neighborhoods, put out Dogs Eating Dogs, and then a few years later again, despite promises of this new Blink album, another new Blink album, it never came. And then eventually, in this damning Rolling Stone article between Mark and Travis, Tom was out of the band again. He couldn't commit, he was flaky, he just wasn't doing it, and they made some pretty damning accusations about him. Travis, I believe, even said that Tom only wants to do Blink-182 when he needs money, he's ungrateful. It was pretty damning, and it was really sad. That was a sad day. I think that was 2015, 7 years ago now. It was a really sad day to be a Blink fan because it just felt really shit that Mark and Travis, well, one, that Tom was behaving the way he was. Mark and Travis were clearly angry at him, and we all thought that when Blink got back together, it would be all sunshines and rainbows and happiness, but we know it wasn't quite that. Even though, you know, a lot of people have mixed things to say about Neighborhoods as an album, I quite like it, and I also think Dogs Eating Dogs is some of the best music they ever put out. I think it's such a natural follow-up to the 2003 Untitled album. I would have loved to have had more Dogs Eating Dogs, but alas, it never happened. So then, 2015, Tom's out of the band, it gets really silent, they all unfollow each other on Instagram and Twitter and everything like that, pretty immature, and Matt Skiba joins the band, and Blink-182 puts out 2 albums with Matt Skiba. The first one, California, which again, a lot of people don't like the Matt Skiba era of Blink-182. Personally, I really liked it. I really wanted new music from the band, and it was clear that Tom wasn't going to put any effort into new music. He was out of the band, and I love what Mark and Travis did. They got someone else who was keen to do it, who jumped on board and made an incredible album in California, a great album with 9. I preferred California. The comeback single, Bored to Death, I loved. And yeah, all of California I thought was fantastic. And with the follow-up album 9, it was clear that Matt Skiba was here to stay. But then I guess 9 would have come out probably back in 2019, 3 years ago now. Been pretty quiet since then. Not too much happening in the band since then. And, you know, it's this 30-year reunion of Blink-182. There's all these whispers of news, this reunion that's going to happen. It doesn't really come around, and then bam, suddenly we've got this Blink-182 reunion, new album, new single. It's all been happening behind the scenes, under the radar, and that makes sense because, you know, they must have had to have some really big conversations as a band and with Tom to be like, hey, we don't want to do this if you're going to flake out again. We don't want to do this if you're not 100% in it. We don't want to do this if you can't commit to it. And if you pull out for some other thing you need to do that's more important to you, we don't want to commit to it in the first place. And I reckon they would have had those conversations. And I don't know where Tom's mind is at the moment, but I guess he said, look, I'm ready to do Blink. I want to do Blink, and I'm ready to commit to it. Maybe it's not, Tom's going to do Blink for another 10 years. Maybe it's just, yeah, I want to do this album and this tour. I want to give the fans something. I guess that's what it is. And he clearly has committed, or they just simply would not have done this. I guarantee you, Mark and Travis would not have committed to doing this if they didn't know for sure that Tom could commit to it. There is a snippet of the new song Edging. It sounds really cool. It's very the snippet that we got is very Tom centric in the vocals, and I think one of the criticisms that the Matt Skiba era of Blink-182 got was that Mark and Matt's voices weren't different enough, or weren't as different as Mark and Tom's. Mark and Tom's voices were so jilting together. Mark has a very smooth, deeper voice. Tom always had that raspy, pop-punk, nasally voice that so many bands since have tried to emulate, but Tom was like the original. Like, that's just how he sung. And I think that jiltedness made for some incredible songs. Like, you look at I Miss You, Feeling This, Stockholm Syndrome, like all these really clashing vocal sounds that just sort of work together. Even Every Time I Look for You from Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, like some really, really great songs. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what they've come up with. Tom has posted that it's their best album of their career, but Tom likes to say big things a lot. He always makes big promises and almost always underdelivers. So I don't know what to expect. I'm sure, being a Blink-182 album, I'm going to love it because I love this band and everything about them. But the other thing is that they're touring. They're touring all around the world. They're coming to Australia in 2024, I think. I actually saw Blink-182 in 2013 here in Australia at the Sydney Myer Music Bowl here in Melbourne, and it would have been in January or February of that year. That was nearly 10 years ago now, and Travis obviously did not come. It was Brooks Wackerman on drums, and it was a great show. I enjoyed it a lot. That was pre the second breakup. And I think the fact that Travis, I'm not sure, and excuse my ignorance, but Travis wasn't flying back then because of his plane crash, and Travis wasn't traveling overseas, so he couldn't come to the tour. There was a bit of a controversy because Travis had promised he was coming to the tour, coming to Australia, but then pulled out at the last minute and they had to replace him, and people were a little bit annoyed about that, and it caused a lot of controversy and media coverage around here. But maybe now Travis is ready to fly. Maybe he's going on a boat. I don't know what he's doing, but I assume he will be in Australia unless he cancels at the last minute again. I really don't know. It is very, very exciting though, and I will definitely be getting tickets, and it will be amazing. From there, I do have a few questions, and I think we all have a few questions. The first one, of course, is Matt Skiba still involved with the band? I think Matt Skiba jumping in and sort of saving Blink-182, and to their credit, California and Bored to Death, I believe, were two of the band's most successful commercial outputs of all time. I'm pretty sure California maybe went number one. I'm pretty sure it did. And Bored to Death might have gone number one. Very popular. Brought them into relevance again. Brought them back into mainstream pop culture. Here in Australia, we have Triple J's Hottest 100, and Bored to Death charted, I think, in the 30s, the top 30 songs of that year, or the top 40 maybe, which was amazing. So, Matt Skiba being in Blink helped revitalize the band and bring them back into mainstream and bring them back into, a lot of it was nostalgia, but it really brought them back into common vernacular. And Nine didn't do as well commercially, I don't believe, but I just think Skiba's presence in the band and performance in the band. He was in the band from 2015 to 2022. That's 7 years. It's a long time, and I think it was disappointing in a way that he wasn't mentioned at all, and none of it's been mentioned at all. Skiba has said he doesn't know if he's still a member of Blink-182, which is a little bit unfair, I think. And you've got to assume they had conversations behind the scenes, like, hey, look, Tom's coming back. We're going to do an album with Tom. Thank you so much for being part of it, and you've really helped us so much, and we're really grateful. But yeah, nothing really like that has been said. I assume it will be said at some point. Maybe they just didn't want to muddle up this announcement with the Skiba farewell, I suppose, but it does feel like he's being a little bit hard done by in a way. But anyway, that's my first question. What's happening with Skiba? Is Skiba still in the band? Is he still playing guitar? Is he doing anything for the band, or is he just out of the band? The Wikipedia article for Blink-182 has now written him out and put Tom back in. But anyway, we might find out more. I assume he is out of the band, and I assume they have dealt with it behind the scenes, and that's not part of the messaging they're going for. The other question is this. On these live shows, will Blink-182 with Tom Delonge be playing songs from California and 9. Particularly, you would think Bored to Death. That was a very big song for the band. Of course, Tom had nothing to do with that song, but will he play it? When Skiba joined, of course, he had to play the back catalogue of songs and take Tom's part in a lot of the songs. All the Small Things, Feeling This, I Miss You, all those bits. Will Tom Delonge play songs like Bored to Death? Songs like She's Out of Her Mind? Songs like Cynical? Will those songs be part of the set list? Will they just do another kind of greatest hits set list without any of the California or 9 stuff? Can Tom put his pride aside and play those songs? Part of me thinks he won't, but then part of me thinks Mark and Trevor said, hey, you're going to have to play these songs. You're going to have to learn these songs and perform them and play them well, you know, not like making a joke out of it. And maybe it will happen. I'm really curious to see what will happen there as well. Question 3. How long is this? Is this just a one-off album with this international world tour? Or is this another 5 to 10 years of Blink-182? I mean, I'm pretty sure they're in their 50s now. Well, Mark is coming up to 50 or might be 50. And, you know, realistically, they can't keep doing this forever. Is it just let's do one more album, put our heart and soul into it, tour it around the world, and then just not put out any other music? Like, that's the end of Blink-182? Or is it, yeah, we're going to do 3 or 4 more albums over the next 10 years? What is Tom's commitment to this? Is he still doing his Angels and Airwaves stuff? He's To the Stars stuff that he does, where he always tries to get people to invest in something that seems immaterial. What is Tom doing? Travis is really blowing up in producing music, and Mark is writing a book as well. So I guess my question is like, I'm not getting my hopes up that this is going to be a new era of Blink-182 where we get another 10, 15 years of music and 3 or 4 more albums. I'm going conservative here and saying, I reckon we get 1 album, this international tour, and then maybe an EP, but I don't really think we'll hear much more from Blink after that, which is very sad, and I hate saying it, but I don't think Tom would have committed to more than this, just because Tom is Tom, and he's notoriously non-committal and notoriously doesn't like to play as nice as he should. I mean, I think Tom owes his entire career to Blink-182, and I think he knows that, and I think he loves the band. I do think he loves the band, but I also think there's a part of Tom that's like, I don't want to sing songs like First Date anymore. I think he thinks he's too mature for that, and particularly in that the first reunion era, I think he felt like he was above those songs, particularly with the music he was making with Angels and Airwaves, which he thought was the best music of all time. I think Tom feels like he's above that music. He's above all the small things, and he doesn't want to sing it. But I think maybe now, with a bit more maturity, a bit more life experience, he'll say, no, I understand why these songs are so important to these people, and I'm going to perform them and be true to their legacy, which is what Mark always did. And that's why I've always loved and respected Mark so much, because he just always loved Blink-182. He didn't care about, you know, it being a snot-nosed pop punk band. He just said, I love this band. I want to be in this band. I want to make music. And he made it happen with Travis, with Matt. He made it happen. So I can't wait for these shows. I can't wait for this new song. I can't wait for this new album. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. I'm quietly cautious. But look, I'm excited, and I think this could be really cool. Check out some of my other videos, and I'll speak to you soon. See you later.